Good evening, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to join in. At the same time, we will also be streaming the session live on our YouTube channel. I will be sharing the links in the chat box as well. And, in case you're not able to view it from here, you can also log in and see the session through our YouTube live stream. So it's 5 now. We'll be starting in another 5 minutes time because there is still a lot of people who are waiting in the lobby to join. So Akhilesh will be starting the session in another 5 minutes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Preetha Tripathi. I'm the Deputy General Manager of Trainings here at FICSI. And on behalf of FICSI, I welcome each and every one of you in today's webinar session on food licensing and registration of food businesses. So, before we proceed with the session, there are certain things that I would want to highlight to you. At the end of the session, we will be providing you a feedback link, and once you give us your feedback, you will be receiving a certificate of participation with the general flow of the session that we have organized here. After our speaker finishes his presentation, we will be opening the chat for question and answers. So please make sure if you have any queries or concerns, that you want to ask to our speaker, note it down. And when we open up the chat at around 4:40 or 4:45, once the session is over, we will be taking a few questions from the participants. So that's how it's going to roll today. So, before I give you an introduction of our speaker, just a very quick introduction about our organization, that's FICSI. So we are the Sector Skill Council for Food Processing Industries, and we are supported by NSDC, MOFPI, and MSDE. These are our parent ministries, and we have been mandated for providing skilled manpower to the entire food processing industry of our country. So skilled manpower means, providing skilling to the manpower who are willing to work into the food industry, who are planning to enter the food industry as a workforce, upskilling of the existing people who are already working in the food processing industry, and reskilling of individuals who want to change the line of work and enter into the food business or the food processing business as such. With regards to today's webinar, we have been conducting such free knowledge sharing sessions under the flagship program of Government of India, which is the Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. And I'm very happy to tell you that today is our 14th webinar in the series, and we are starting something new from our today's session. So we'll be planning and conducting some joint sessions along with FSSAI. And the first of such series is our today's topic on food licensing and registration. So just a very, before I hand it over to Mr. Akhilesh, just a very brief presentation about our esteemed speaker. Just give me a second before I put up his profile. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So I'm very delighted, and I'm very thankful that Akhilesh was able to spare time out of his busy schedule. So Akhilesh ji, he's currently Assistant Director in under the Regulatory Compliance Division of the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and he has been instrumental in designing and implementing of the current system of food licensing and registration, that is FoSCoS. So he has a very good experience of around 10 years now, and by education he's a computer science graduate who was posted in Ministry of Defense. From there he moved on to FSSAI, and he's been, as I mentioned, very one of the core team members who has been working, from switching over from the FLRS system. If you are from the food industry, you do know that prior to FoSCoS, the food licensing and registration system was called the FLRS. So that entire transition he's witnessed, and he's been instrumental in designing and giving his inputs. So thanks so much, Akhilesh, for taking your time out and coming for this session. So over to you, Akhilesh.
Yeah, thank you, Preetha ma'am. And I'll straight away start with my presentation because we have very limited time, and I'll try to cover as much as I can in these 30 minutes. And just a second, I'm sharing my screen.
Sure.
I hope my presentation is visible to you, ma'am.
Yes, it is visible. It's perfectly visible. You can carry on with the presentation.
As you all know, we are here to discuss about food licensing and registration system in our country. As you all know, we have a regulation called FSS Licensing and Registration Regulation since 2011, for which is the very basic regulation introduced by FSSAI in the year 11. Why it is basic? That because each and every compliance which a business has to follow, the in among those compliances, the initial one is to obtain license and registration in the right category, and all the rules and regulation related to obtaining of licensing and registration, the procedure and the hygiene, sanitary standards to be followed by business as per their kind of business criteria. These has been prescribed under this regulation. Further, on the basis of this regulation, a licensing system has been designed. Earlier, it was food licensing and registration system since 2012 to 2020. In the year 2020, we migrated from a rudimentary licensing system to a much smarter system, food safety compliance system, which not only caters to licensing and registration, but also help food businesses to convey their compliances directly to the authorities. So in all, this system is a 360-degree approach of FSSAI to measure the compliances that have been followed by FBOs, and help authorities to make informed decisions whether in prioritizing these lifting of samples or conducting of inspections and any other activities. So this system helps in both ways, to FBOs to smartly track their compliances, and to authorities to track the compliances of FBOs and take necessary action thereafter. So I start straight away with the need of FSSAI license and registration, from where it originates. It originates from the Section 31 of FSS Act, where it states that no person shall commence or carry any food business except under a license or registration. That means whether that FBO, food business operator, is conducting business for profit or non-profit, whether it is an NGO or involved in donating food, or maybe handling food just for an hour, like we have delivery chains operational in metro cities. They just handle the food for few hours. Even then, they are required to have FSSAI license. The thumb rule for FSSAI license is that it is premise based license registration. That means one premise for one particular entity can have only one license or registration as per the criteria. N number of activities can be endorsed in it, like a person is conducting imports of the food product, and at the same premise it is also involved in manufacturing of food and distribution of food. That means no separate license or registration is required. Only a single license or registration would do and is enough, and that's all. Even the second license registration may call an action, because for authority, for a single entity, for a single address, it should be a single license to track and to communicate with authorities. Further, yes, if that premises has been broken into multiple floors or multiple clearly divisible sections, then separate entities may obtain separate licenses at that premises, but after only a clear segregation with the same visible in the address line. Then the licensing and registration process is completely online. That means you don't have to rush through any place or any person to obtain license registration. You just need to go to our official portal, that is FoSCoS.fssai.gov.in, and thereafter, if you study the home page for at least 30 minutes, you might get all the information you were searching for at the home page itself. And if you are well informed, you may be able to apply a license by yourself. Then this is a time bound processing of application. That means license has to be granted within 60 days of time and registration has to be granted 7 days of time. If the authorities does not respond in the this time interval, your application will be auto generated and you will be issued license number along with the license copy or registration copy. So these processes are very time bound, subject to the all the documents as required by the system and as per your category. That if any authority raises any query on your license application, you have to respond to that application within time. Otherwise, it will auto reject. Then Section 63 stipulates the penalty for conducting food business without a valid license. That means uh, if you are conducting any business knowingly or unknowingly, you will be penalized for rupees 5 lakhs, maximum 5 lakhs, or imprisonment of 6 months if you are conducting any food business activity without a license. That is the provision under FSS Act. Then under FSS Act, what is the definition of food business? That is ki any undertaking, whether for profit or not, whether public or private. That means ki even the government body, if they are running any food business, what is the food business? That is carrying out any food activity related to any stage of manufacture, processing, even packaging. You are purchasing any food in bulk and then packaging in your labels, so under your labels. So that category we call as repackers. So then you require a license registration. You are a food business. Then even you are storing for 5 minutes or even for a minute. That means ki you are a storage provider, or even you are a part of supply chain, transportation, distribution of food, import, and also includes food services, who deals in freshly prepared food, and catering services, sale of food or food ingredient. That means those e-commerce entities also who are involved in transacting through their portal for the sale of food. So these are classified as food business, and food, if they are classified as food business, they have to be covered under FSSAI license or registration as per the criteria. So what is the broad eligibility criteria for these kind of food businesses? Like if you are a manufacturer of a food, including repacker and relabeler. In short, repacker, I have just explained ki if you are procuring a finished product in bulk quantity and then packing it into your own brand and own label in some other packet sizes, then you are classified as repackers. Relabelers are those who have their product formulation, but they don't have factory setup, or might not have that capacity to manufacture by themselves. So they get their product manufactured from third party manufacturers. So that brand owner is called as relabeler, brand owner or brand franchisor, or who owns that rights for the product. So that person is known as relabeler. Both repacker and relabeler are classified as deemed manufacturer. That means whenever any non-compliance is occurred in future, both manufacturers and repackers and relabelers will be held equally responsible for that product. Further, the broad eligibility criteria is if you are producing only up to 100 kilogram or liter per day, you will be required only to obtain a registration. But if you are producing more than 100 up to 2 metric ton per day, you will be covered under state license. Production more than 2 metric ton per day is covered under central license. Then there are some high risk categories which are exclusively covered under central license. Those are nutraceuticals, irradiation facilities, those who have license from BARC and do the radiation processing of the food for extending the shelf life, and then those units which are manufacturing proprietary food. Proprietary foods are those for whose standards are not clearly written in our product standard regulation. However, their ingredients standard has been listed somewhere in the product standard regulation. So if you are using those standardized ingredients from that regulation and making your own food. For that, you have to declare that food as proprietary food, and for that, you have to provide the product specification for that particular product. And then this application will be routed to central license authority. They will assess your product formulation. If it is okay, then they will grant you the license for that product. Then novel food is those food for which no study is yet available in India. However, if FBOs are sure that their product is safe, they may submit their product safety study to FSSAI. They take product approval. For that, we have a different portal, e-pass system. That link is available on the FSSAI's website, fssai.gov.in. If you get the product approval, then you can come to FoSCoS portal and upload that product approval document along with the name of product. So and then there are the manufacturers who manufacture for exporting purposes. So those manufacturers are also covered under central license. Then under trade, retail and food services, importers, trader, exporters, e-commerce businesses are all under central license. Here I would emphasize on the definition of e-commerce. There is a bit misconception, like a FBO who goes to sell his product on any e-commerce platform gets a feeling that he is an e-commerce FBO. No, that is a misconception. E-commerce FBO is a FBO who owns the portal rights. Like I would not name any portal, but if you are owning xyz.com and you are selling through that and facilitating the sale through that portal and transacting through that portal, only then you are classified as an e-commerce FBO. So only in that case you have to obtain the license, and you have to mention that portal name. And after mentioning the portal name, you will be required to submit the premise address. In that case, premise will be your official address from where you will be conducting those office related work of your e-commerce business. So and if as a simple retailer who is going to sell his product through a e-commerce portal, that FBO, that retailer would not be classified as a e-commerce FBO. Then in trade retail, say a person is involved in the retailer or a distributor whose turnover is up to 12 lakhs. He has to obtain a registration. Then if it's turnover up to 20 crore, then more than 12 lakh to up to 20 crore, a state license is applicable. And then more than 20 crore, a central license is applicable. Exception is wholesaler. In case of wholesaler, the turnover or cutoff for that turnover is 30 crore, wholesalers and transporters. And for hotels, all 5-star and above hotels are under central license. Up to 4-star and 3-star, they are under state license. And below 3-star, they are under registration. And in the storage capacity, we have for the storage kind of business, we have capacity based of segregation. You can access the portal and get the eligibility criteria, because there are 3 types of storage. Simple one, dry storage, where all the no such extra facility for atmospheric controlled or cold type of facility is required. Then one is with cold and atmospheric facilities required. So similarly, you can get the eligibility criteria from the homepage of the portal. Then these are the major steps for filing of application by FBO. What we did in the FoSCoS portal, I'll give a demo, also a brief demo. There I would explain the steps. Basically, we let every FBO in the system to play with the system, even if he is not desired to get a license at that particular moment. He wants to gain the knowledge. So the system does not ask for any user ID at first. He will let you, the system will let you know through the new application. You go through the new application, you read out the eligibility criteria, you select from that kind of business and the capacity or the turnover, whatever suits you best. When you select that, the system will let you know the exact requirement of license or registration. When you are through with it, when you select your products from the standardized list, or you get to know that your product is proprietary, where you have to upload one additional document for product specification, only after that system will ask you for the creation of user ID. That means the system has let you know your exact position, your exact requirement with the regarding the license or registration. After that, this is the major part. When you are sure with your kind of business and the eligibility criteria, only after that the creation of after the creation of user ID, filling up of communication details, that is form A or B. Form A is for registration, which is very basic, and it is designed from the point of view of petty food business operators, which are very which you can assume as non-tech savvy, or maybe on the lower side of tech. So that form is has been designed like that. And form B is for license for bigger food businesses. So it is bit complex as compared to form A. So you will be required to nominate a person in charge for operation in that form. You have to declare a legal nominee of your business in that form. After that, the document section will come. In that document section, for manufacturing, 10 documents would be required, for which you can have the pre-information from the FoSCoS homepage. And for non-manufacturing, very general 5 documents are required. And thereafter, after which you will be allocated with a 17-digit application reference number, for which through which you can track your application in future, and the same reference number will also be used for issuance of for logging into the system. As I have mentioned earlier also, these are time bound process. So in case you have uploaded all the relevant documents, and the then your license would be granted within 60 days. 60 days, it seems too much, but if your application is completed in all respect, it might be issued within 10 to 15 days, depending on the load on that officer in that particular area. And same is with the registration. It does not require 7 days. Sometimes it get processed within 24 hours. In some states, it processed within 4-5 days, but maximum day is 7 day. If the query is not raised and the authority has not asked you any more question. If it has asked you any more question, you have to reply within 30 days. If you don't reply within 30 days, on the 31st day, your application will be auto rejected, and no return of the fee can be granted. Then coming to the licensing and registration fee. In case of central license, fee is 7,500 per year. In the case of state license, manufacturers have to pay 5,000 and 3,000. 3,000 for up to 1 metric ton per day, and 1 to 2 metric ton per day, 5,000. For other kind of businesses other than manufacturers, it is a flat 2,000 rupees. For registration, it is 100 per year for petty food businesses who are basically having turnover up to 12 lakhs per annum, or they are manufacturer producing up to 100 kg per day. Then they can apply for registration with a 100 rupee fee. And there the requirement of documents is also very less. Only 2 basic documents is required. One is photo, passport size photo, and another is a photo ID showing the address. If the address of the premises is different than the address mentioned in the photo ID, then you have to upload one separate address proof of premise. So that is required. That is third document is required in the registration. Then you can, while applying, you can choose for the validity up to from 1 to 5 years, and fee will be calculated accordingly the selection made by you. Then the license would be granted, license or registration that would be of 14 digits. And for the segregation between petty food businesses and the other than petty, those who are covered under license, we have demarcated the first digit as 1 and 2. For license, it starts with 1, and for registration, it starts with 2. Registration also carries a photo of that FBO which you upload while applying for the registration certificate, along with a ID card which is also annexed to that registration certificate. Then the renewal, when you come to the renewal part, that you can apply for renewal before 180 days prior to expiry date. That means the window opens if you are having the expiry date as 31st December, the window will open 180 days prior to that. That means sometimes approximately 5th or 6th of July. That time is with you to apply for renewal well in advance. But in case of license, if you fail to apply till 1st of December, that means 30 days before the expiry date, you have to pay the late fee also for applying for renewal. That seems very a bit uncommon, but this is a very logical thing, because authority also needs time to process. If you apply even on the last date of the expiry date, you will be allowed to conduct business for 30 days further till the date of, after the date of expiry. That means 30 days has been granted to our authorities, licensing authorities, to process that renewal. In case of renewal, otherwise auto generation, if authority does not attend to your application, say on the 16th day, renewal application would be auto generated in that case. So that late fee is very logical, even from that angle. Then in the year 2021, from the 29th October 21 specifically, FSSAI has come out with the provision to allow FBOs to file the renewal of their license or registration even after the expiry. Earlier, this provision was not there, and FBO has to apply for a fresh license registration. But mostly manufacturer class was suffering because of that non-availability of provision, because they have a lot of packaging material left with them. So to counter that scenario, FSSAI enabled the renewal after the expiry date, but with the penalty clause, just to discourage FBOs to not to adopt by default this loop. So for discouragement, 3 times of penalty of annual fee has been levied if you come from the date of expiry to 90th day of expiry. If you come after 91st day of expiry till 180th day, 5 times of the penalty of annual license fee or registration fee would be charged, along with the fee which for the period which you will be applying for renewal. Then as I have mentioned in the beginning of my this presentation, that earlier FSI was having food licensing and registration system in place. It was having several drawbacks, or you may say its functionality was outdated. So one of the functionality or the methodology which we brought into the system with the launch of FoSCoS is the drop-down selection for the products. Especially for the manufacturers, because other than manufacturer, you don't have to declare your products. For trader or a retailer, you only have to select the food category. But in case of manufacturer, you have to mention the product which you are manufacturing. So earlier in food licensing and registration system, there was a technique a manufacturer has to write its product name, and because of that writing or typing, that data analytics could not be done. And even there was a big confusion between licensing authority and the FBO. FBO is stating its product anything, and the licensing authority is was not able to was not able to comprehend with the product mentioned in that application, and that causes unnecessary delays in the processing of application. So that's why with the launch of FoSCoS, we came out with the standardized list of products through which if a manufacturer selects a product from that particular list, so there would be no scope of confusion between the FBO and the licensing authorities regarding the product, that particular product which a manufacturer intended to manufacture, or for which he is intended to obtain the license or registration. So with approximately 1.5 years has now been there with the launch of FoSCoS, FSSAI has discontinued the those renewal of those licenses which were initially granted from FLRS. Those come to FoSCoS portal and modify their license with free of cost. No fee would be charged in the first year of launch of FoSCoS. After that, we charge the modification fee till 31st March of 2022. Thereafter, the authority decided not to renew any licenses which were granted based on the old methodology, or you can simply say which were granted on the text box approach of those products. So now if any FBO is having old license granted from FLRS, that manufacturer would only be allowed for renewal of his license in case if he comes to the portal and get his license modified mandatorily. If he gets his license modified within the validity time, say the expiry is in the coming November or December or coming June, July, August. If he gets his license modified by that time as per the new methodology, only then he will be allowed to file renewal of that license. Similarly, for the state license for nutraceutical, earlier till last year, nutraceutical manufacturers were allowed to have state licenses, but in September 2021, authority decided and gave time to nutraceutical FBOs till March 2022 to convert their licenses to center licenses. Those who have not modified their licenses, they are not allowed to renew their state license for nutraceuticals anymore. Then coming to modification of license registration, first of all, if you want to change any communication details or any document which were submitted during the initially obtaining of license registration, no modification fee is there. A modification fee of ₹1,000 is there if you want to change any details which is there on the license copy. So say you want to change the address, you want to change the entity name, or you want to add some more product or categories to your license, or any other kind of business, you need to modify your license with only ₹1,000 plus the differential fee. Say earlier you were not a manufacturer, but you are jumping into a category of manufacturer. So that differential fee would be applicable to you along with the ₹1,000 fee. Then in 2021, FSSAI also enabled the provision for change in eligibility criteria. Earlier, if you were a state license FBO, but you want to import something which is explicitly covered under central license, you were not allowed to do so on the same license number. So that problem has been encountered in 2021. Now you can jump from state license to central license category without change of license number through applying to the process of applying modification. Same in the change in premises even across the states. That means during corona times we have seen many food businesses jump from a high rent area to the low rent area. That has happened, and that causes the change in address from one state to another state. Say entity is moving from Gurgaon to Ghaziabad, so this requires the change in state. So that's why FSSA has come out with formula to allow such FBOs to keep same license number in that case also. So you have to apply modification. That application would go to the initial authority first for checking the past history. If you are not having any pending non-compliance, unsettled compliance with the initial authority, that authority will pass that application to the final destined authority. That authority will scrutinize your application afresh and will issue you the modified license. That license number will be the same as it was earlier. Then there are categories where FSSAI exempted some last mile delivery persons, direct sellers, food cart vendors, or food ATMs, water ATMs, vending machines, ice cream cart vendors, and the milk suppliers who are supplying their milk completely to a cooperative society. So ultimately, the idea was that these entities, these small entities, do not have a fixed premise. These are mobile food vending units. So in that case, if a parent entity to them is ready to take onus of those last mile entities, then that parent entity can give a declaration to the licensing authority, and subject to those conditions which is available on the FSA's website, subject to those conditions, that these last mile entities are not required to obtain registration. Then there are endorsement in license registration, basically for manufacturers, like fortified. First, I come to the fortified. FSSAI has a regulation for fortified food. So if those manufacturers are those who are manufacturing fortified food and want to use plus F logo on the on their product labels, they are required to uh, they are required to obtain fortified endorsement separately. For this, they must have FSA license or registration. Then, if their product is coming under that the scope of fortified regulation, then the system will show them the option. And when they select the products for which they are taking the endorsement, they have to upload the level, that product test report showing the level of fortification. That level of fortification must correspond to the levels which are mentioned in the that regulation, in that fortification regulation. There is no need to renew that fortified endorsement thereafter. That validity is in sync with the FSSAI license or registration. That means ki whenever you renew your license or registration, that endorsement would be renewed itself. But there is a separate thing for organic endorsement. In the case of organic, complete supply chain is covered. So not just manufacturers, all can have organic food endorsement. Traders can also have, retailers can also have, distributors can also have, subject to the pre-requirement of having the organic certification from NPOP or PGS India. If they are having the certificate from NPOP or PGS India, and which is valid for 1 year, they come onto the FoSCoS portal, they apply with that certificate for organic certification on the portal. Then authority would grant the that endorsement. Then thereafter, they can use the Javik Bharat logo on their product. Then there are certain compliances which a manufacturer and other kind of businesses abuse involved in other kind of businesses, they have to follow. For a manufacturer, the first is the license to be in the correct category, because many manufacturers do not obtain right license in the correct category. Like they might be producing well within the eligibility criteria of license, but they knowingly or unknowingly obtained a registration certificate which allows only to manufacture up to 100 kg per day. That means they are liable to be punished under the FSS Act. So you must be aware of the right eligibility criteria and the right kind of business. Then timely renewal of license registration is required. Any food business activity conducting on the expired license would attract again the same penal provision as conducting business without FSSAI license. Then apply modification of license without prior conducting any change in your premise, or simultaneously at least. So even when you declare your legal nominee in your license application while filing a new application. Many FBOs we have noticed that they do not update that information thereafter. So while inspection or while any communication which is being sent by the authorities, that communication does not reach to the right person. So that through the modification of license, in that particular case, even the fee is not required for updating the communication detail of these technical persons in charge of operation and the legal nominees of that business. Then manufacturers required to submit annual return for the business conducted in the past financial year. For the annual return, the last date is 31st May of every year, which is today itself also, who are the licensed manufacturers. This is applicable only for licensed manufacturer, not for the petty FBOs. So and the penalty is also there for late filing of annual return, that is 100 rupees per day. So from the 1st June onward, that 100 rupees will be started getting accumulated on them, and they have to file whenever they will file the annual return, the system will prompt the late fee also as per calculated as per from the 1st of June. Then every manufacturer has to employ at least one trained food safety supervisor or the technical person. Then manufacturers have to undergo the product testing at least once in a 6 months. That means if a manufacturer is manufacturing 20 different kind of products, then for the every product they have to have one testing of that product within 6 months, within the first 6 months, then second testing in the next 6 months, whether in their own lab or any NABL accredited lab or FSSAI notified lab. Water testing is required for those manufacturers who are using water as an ingredient only. So that water testing requirement is in the during the application of the license also, and otherwise also, which we have clarified this requirement of water testing is at least once per year. So an annual water testing is required. And at the same time, if you go by the FAQs on licensing registration, very recently FSSAI has allowed clarified that thing to FBOs ki if they are using the municipal water supply, they will not be required to submit the water testing. If they are using the government, any water supply from the government body, they need to submit the water bills instead of water testing report. But for the other FBOs who are using the private supply or the any other source of water, they need to submit the water testing report. Then in case of oil manufacturing units, they have to manufacturers have to have a lab facility in their units. For all other kind of businesses, the condition is there that they should buy and sell only from licensed registered vendors. Be it any kind of B2B businesses, they must ensure that there must be license number on the invoice, or they ensure that from where they are procuring or to which they are selling, if that person is not the end consumer, then they both must be licensed or registered. Then they have to follow schedule 4 of these regulations, which is the FSMS, or the requirements for hygienic and sanitary practices. So as per the kind of business you are involved into, that practices have to be followed by the food business operator. And to ease out these things, the inspection checklists have been made available on the FoSCoS portal itself. So that inspection checklist you can go through by yourself. You can upgrade your units as per the inspection checklist or the FSMS required and the mentioned in the regulation. Then there is a Food Safety Connect app also, which was launched in the 2021 by the FSSAI. This app enables petty vendors to apply for registration, which is a much simpler process if they go through the if they file through the app. Further, for all other FBOs, there are quick links for FAQs, guidance documents, and order and advices, which FSSAI publishes from time to time. Then those food businesses which are not such tech savvy, they may use the services of Food Safety Mitra. FSSAI recognized Food Safety Mitras in every state. In every state, they are approximately 800 in numbers. They may food businesses may contact these Food Safety Mitras. The phone numbers and email IDs of these Food Safety Mitras is available on the FoSCoS portal. If you click on your area, you will be able to know the nearest Food Safety Mitra, and you can get in touch with him, and you can take the assistance on all the license registration related matters. The fee also has been fixed for all such thing. For license, it is rupees 500, and for registration, it is rupees 100. So with that, the all the major part as per the regulation has been covered. Now I will give you a brief demo of FoSCoS and let you through that FoSCoS system. Yes, sir. So this is the homepage of foscos.fssai.gov.in. The URL is as much important because many times when you search on Google, give you food licensing in India, so Google threw up the various portals pertaining to different consultancy websites. So I would advise you to pay attention to the URL also. It is foscos.fssai.gov.in. Then on the portal, you will find the user manuals. User manuals are there on all the key flows of the system for how to apply for license license for restaurants, for manufacturing, for how to apply for modification renewal. For some flows, there are tutorial videos are also available. Video on the home page, what are the different functionalities available on the home page, or how to apply for FSSAI registration. These are all videos which are available on YouTube also. These links have been provided here. These are all short videos, 3-4 minutes videos, which you can go through and acquaint yourself with the key flows of the system. Then there are two search tools available right on the top. One is the product standardized food products. That means the product which are standardized, for which the product standards have been laid by the FSSAI, and for which you will find those products under that drop down window. So you may search your product like pickle if you want to manufacture it. So you will be having that pickle. Let's see what different kind of pickle standards are there. So pickle made from fruits, pickle made from fruits, having these 4.1.2 3 and 4.1.210 is the uh, additives category number, which you may select as per the additives you are adding in your product. And the description tells you the regulation number which you will find in the product standard regulation. So you can read out that particular rule number. You can identify your product, and then you can while applying, you may choose the right pickle. Similarly for all such products. Similarly, if you want to if you want to open a restaurant or want to apply for a restaurant, you can search for a restaurant. This is the eligibility criteria detail. So for restaurant, this is the category, like if you are having a turnover up to 12 lakh per annum, the registration is applicable. Rupees 100 is the fee. For turnover up to 20 crore per annum, state license, and this is the fee. So similarly, if you want to access all the eligibility criteria, you can have access to complete document by clicking on this. So this is the complete document showing you the eligibility criteria for all kind of businesses. So you can go through it if you want to study, or you can study this document and make an appropriate choice. Again, going to home page, then there are quick links like the first by default track application page is there. The QR code is also for the Food Safety Connect app, which is very handy. Then you want to know your officer, the officer which is handling food safety issues in your area. You can simply select the state and district, and you can find out that officer's name and email. You can contact him through email. Then FBO search is there. You want to search any particular license number or by the company name, you can go through it. Any further advanced search based on the particular product or particular food category, you can do so also through the advanced FBO search. And similarly for from the endorsement search, if you want to search any fortified endorsed products and or the organic endorsed product. Then there is the basic flow of application is available on the home page. Okay, how you can apply for the application, what is the application processing stages, and then the license kit, which is very important for food businesses, where they can find out the Schedule 4 requirements and inspection checklist, FSSI initiatives with which abuse may associate themselves. Then the display boards, which is right now mandatory for restaurants and for other kind of businesses, they may adopt display boards where the good practices have been listed out. They can take the print of the display board from this website itself and can hang that display board at the relevant places in their premises. Then other important link for food handlers. This document has been designed with from the point of view of connecting food handlers with the food regulator. That means the food handler at the last mile who works on the behalf of food business operator, they must also be aware of the basic requirements of the basic regulatory requirements. So that document has been designed in such a way if you take a printout of this and make that document hang at the manufacturing premise, that food handler may get associate with the regulatory practices through that document. Then these are the quick links for how to apply apply for license registration. If you want to apply for modification or renewal, or for the consumer point of view, they want to lodge consumer grievance, from here they can do, or the manufacturers can file annual return from here. Then under the announcement sections, whatever we make change in the FoSCoS portal or any important advisory issued by FSSI pertaining to license registration, they are placed under announcement section. So food businesses may regularly visit this announcement section to remain updated with the developments. Then help topics. Under the help topics, this document required is the first thing which any NAVE food business shall go through. Under the document required, you will find a complete list of the documents for which you may keep it ready prior applying the license registration. For non-manufacturing units, the for manufacturing units, other than those 5 basic, the 5 documents pertaining to manufacturing unit is also there. So in all, total 10 documents are required for manufacturing unit and 5 is required for non-manufacturing units. Similarly, other help topics are there. FAQs on licensing registration is there. You may go through it. A comprehensive FAQs are there. If you go through that 120 or something FAQs, you will be well aware of the provisions of licensing and registration. So I'll give you a brief demo how to apply for a license registration. When you click on this will again throw you the 3 boxes. One is for the regular premises. Then if you are having a premises at railway station, you have to click it on here. And if you are having the premises on airport, seaport, you have to click it here. So for the regular premises, when you click here, it will ask you the state of your premise. Say we select Delhi. Then it will give you the broad head, whether you are a manufacturer or a trader retailer or a food service who are dealing in the freshly prepared food, or you are any central government agency like FCI or any departmental canteen. Then you have to visit this particular head, or a head office. Head office, in the case if you are having units in multiple states, then you have to declare one office as a head office, and for which you have to obtain a central license. Then coming to a manufacturer side, you will be thrown with the sub KOBs. These are sub KOBs. Like in case of manufacturer, if you are a dairy unit or a vegetable processing unit or a slaughtering unit, meat processing unit, or a food or health supplement nutraceutical manufacturer. Apart from that, if you are none of the above, then you will be covered under general manufacturer. And these all are under standardized foods. Then if your product does not fall under the standardized food, you have to go through the proprietary, go into the proprietary food. And then if your product is not a proprietary, then you have to obtain a product approval. And after obtaining product approval, you have to apply under non-specified food and food ingredient, that is novel food. Then substances added to food, those products like additives, enzymes, which are intermediary or food ingredients, which are not meant for direct human consumption. So those manufacturers of those products have to go through this section. Then for radiation processing of food, you have a prerequisite requirement of bark license. Then manufacturers who are covered under 100% EOU scheme, and the exporter manufacturers other than 100% EOU scheme, they may select the relevant option. So I'll go through. Whenever you click any option, you will be given the eligibility criteria. So you have to clearly read that, understand that criteria, and select, make a appropriate selection. Because on the selection, on the basis of selection you make, system would suggest you the right category, whether you require a license, whether it is a state or central or registration. So under general manufacturing, I have selected all grain cereal pulses milling unit without any sealing capacity. That means if you are only dealing in the milling units, or in that case, there is no turnover limit, you will be covered under state license. So I have selected this. Will show me the license category I'm eligible for, that is state license. When I click for state license, it will ask me to declare the pre information, like the name of the unit, address, based on the address mentioned by me. The system will ask me to locate the premises. I have to check whether the pin is right or not, or I can also change that pin to the right location. This is very important because based on that, licensing authority would be able to know whether the license has been any active license is there on that particular premise or not. So uh, if you don't declare this thing correctly, licensing authority may ask you a query on your application. Then you have to declare the product production capacity. Say we have find out the pickle under 4.1. So I selected 4.1. Then the pickle would be listed in this 4.1. pickle made from fruits, 4.1.2.3. I have selected this, and then I submit. I can select multiple products also. Then after adding the product, I have to declare whether I am a manufacturer of that product, relabeler or repacker. The definition of relabeler and repacker has been made available here, so that applicant can be well aware of the scope of relabeler and repacker. In case you choose relabeler, the system will ask you the details of licensed manufacturers also. So you must be assured that from where you are getting your products manufactured, that particular manufacturer should be licensed under that very category. If you are if you are applying for pickles, that particular manufacturer also must also be having license for pickle category. When I have added this thing, I have made 3 selection there, so 3 products have been added, and thereafter in under other details, it will ask me for if whether the unit is equipped with any analytical laboratory, which is non-mandatory in case of general manufacturing. If I had selected that oil category, the system would be asking me that declaration of lab would be the mandatory criteria in that case, in the case of oil. Otherwise, it is not a mandatory thing. You can uh, after that, system asks me to sign up, and thereafter the communication details and documents have to be submitted. So this is the basic flow for license and registration. You may go through the system by yourself. You can also go through the user manuals and get yourself acquainted with the scope system provides. Thank you. With this, I have covered the maximum thing in this session. It's to you, Pritha ma'am. Please, you may go ahead with the queries.
Thank you so much, Akhilesh. People would be wondering why it took so much of time to cover this session. Actually, Akhilesh tried to keep it really very concise, and for the same reason, we'll be planning a couple more sessions with him, to apprise you about this entire system of FoSCoS, because since we have transitioned from FLRS to FoSCoS, there is still a huge knowledge gap that needs to be addressed. All right, so we are opening the chat now for your questions. It's open now, guys. You can start asking your questions. So before I take questions, from the Microsoft people who are attending it on the Teams, we have few questions, from the viewers who are there on our YouTube channel. So I'll read it out to you. The first question that I have, Akhilesh ji, for you is from Mr. Pranesh. He's asking, who issues the vegan food endorsement?
Right now, there is no endorsement mandated by FSSAI, so there is no requirement to endorse vegan food. It is as per the standardized list. You will find, I think abhi FSSAI has yet to notify those food products for vegan. So whenever the concerned division of FSSAI list out those products, that would be made available under standardized list. So no separate endorsement would be required. You will be able to apply a license directly for those vegan foods. So
Okay.
please wait because vegan food is very new to our regulatory ecosystem. So whenever authority provides you the further directions, you go through with that.
Okay. So even the agencies will be able to help them out in assuring that their product is vegan. I think uski भी list एक बार ये notification आएगी तभी available होगी.
Exactly.
As you rightly mentioned, it is a very new category of food that is just we are still, all of us are trying to understand more. So the second question is from Miss Forum Jetwa. She is asking if we have organic license of NPOP or any other certifying body, then is it necessary to have endorsement from FoSCoS, and only then can we put the Jaivik Bharat logo on our labels, or we can put the logo with endorsement?
No, actually the thing is that those FBOs who don't want to display Javik Bharat logo, which is of only of FSSAI, so that FBOs, whether they are certified by NPOP, they can go ahead with it without endorsement. But if they want to use Javik Bharat logo, so prior using Javik Bharat logo, they must endorse their product with FSSAI for organic. For using Javik Bharat logo, it is the mandatory requirement. If they don't use Javik Bharat logo, they may go ahead and with their product.
Okay. The next question is from Neha. She's asking for petty businesses. How frequently product testing, can be done, or is it advised to be done?
For
Petty
food businesses who are covered under registration category, no requirement of testing has been defined, but for their satisfaction, they may at least get their product tested at least once in a year. This is only a suggestion. This is not written anywhere. For licensed businesses, yes, the requirement is clearly specified, which is at least once in a 6 months time. But for the registration, who are manufacturing 100 kilogram per day, no clear-cut requirement is written. So they may go ahead with the frequency they may think is right. Like it is suggestible ki you should go through at least once per year.
Once a year. Okay. The
next question is asked by Thamamesh ND. He is asking if honey is added with cinnamon, turmeric, or any other natural ingredients, then which category this should fall into?
I want to repeat. I think this particular question pertains to product standard category, and I may not be the right resource person for that. And they must read the first. They identify what they are adding. If they are adding natural ingredient, but say cinnamon, to which product he wants to add. What is the primary product? If he classifies his primary product and read out that standard from the product standard regulation, 99% he would be clear by himself. Otherwise, they may raise their query with FSSAI's standard division, science and standard division, to get.
Okay. Rahul Kumar Shah is asking if someone is acting as freelancer or technical consultant, regulation is required for him. Registration is required for him as well.
I think that's a food safety mitra. Is what.
For food safety mitra, that is different portal. That is fssi.gov.in/mitra, and he is not a food business. He is a food safety mitra. So for the registration, complete process is different. Altogether is different for that food registration, food safety for becoming a food safety mitra. That there he has to cover the basic modules. Then those candidates are required to go through a examination. And in which they have to score 75% of marks. If they clear, if they pass out with 75% of marks, they will be required to deposit a security money of 5,000. After that, the scrutiny of documents will be done, and they would be given the food safety mitra status or certificate from FSSAI.
Okay, Saurav Sharma is asking, we are STARTI license holder and looking
state license.
Okay. We are state license holder and looking forward to import some other food categories too. If we migrate from state to central system, do not allow to apply for more than 1 year, and our fee is also not adjusted. Why is that?
No, that is the case. This is a very typical case for which FSSAI has issued advices from time to time. First of all, why the system is not allowing him to file renewal for more than 1 year? That is two different things, because in the modification there is no question of year. First of all, because in the case of modification, well, that person has mixed two queries. First of all, he might not have converted his old license to the new license, as I have explained in the my PPT also. He might be having FLRS methodology license. That's why system is not allowing him to renew for more than 1 year. That provision was there till 31st of March. Right now, he would not be allowed to file renewal at all first case, because he has not modified. If he has modified his license as per the new FoSCoS portal drop-down methodology or of selection of products, only then he would be allowed to file renewal. Second case, in case of moving from state to central, because he wants to add importer category, fee is adjusted. The calculation of fee is as per the FSSI order. He may go through the FSSI order. If he is in the last year of validity, even the no differential fee is being charged by FSSI. Only the 1,000 rupees is being charged by FSSI. Say if more than 1 year of validity period is pending, only then year's difference. Say state license, manufacturer of a state license is in 3,000 and 5,000 category, but the central license is 7,500. So that difference plus 1,000 rupees is being charged for the balance number of years. If that balance years is complete, if it is only 270 days or 250 days, even that differential fee is not being charged. So that query might not be the correct. He may go through the system again and check the status.
So we'll take one last question, due to paucity of time. So there is one question from Mr. Krishna Kiran. He's asking, agents collecting milk from the farmers and supplying to the plants, do they require FSSI registration?
Definitely, because if they are intermediary agents, the food safety responsibility lies on them as well. So they will be requiring FSSI license, because the exemption only was to the farmers, and if even they directly supply their milk to the cooperative societies, because there the responsibility lies with the cooperative societies. That's why the milk last mile milkman that is exempted.
Okay. So thank you, Akhilesh, for answering these questions. As we have many questions, that still needs to be answered. So what I will request each and every participant here is, please, leave in the chat box your name, email ID. Okay, mostly your email ID is what we want. Please leave your email IDs, so that we can share the feedback link with you. Also, if you have any questions, job के जिन लोगों के भी question हमने answer नहीं करे, make sure that you do write your questions to us. We'll be able to answer that whenever we do our next session with Akhilesh ji. And as very easily, I think Akhilesh showed us, he took us through the entire FoSCoS and the entire registration and licensing system. What are the important points that one has to keep in mind when you're going for a license. I think in this small amount of time, it was a very nice concentrated effort, and I hope all of you you are going back with some very valuable points, because as an outsider when we look at the authority, तो ऐसा ही लगता है कि licensing system कितना बड़ा, कितना complicated है, but जिस तरह से FoSCoS बनाया गया है, I think we all can agree that the user manuals, FAQs and all the details, if someone just goes onto the website of FoSCoS and tries to find out information on what is the method of applying and how do you navigate your way through the portal, I think it is a one-stop solution for everything. It is just like we just have to get ahead of our little initial fear of being like overwhelmed with the licensing system. It's pretty easy, and I think अगर आपने हर एक मैनुअल बराबर से पढ़ ली है डाउनलोड करके, सिस्टम इज वेरी इजी एंड वेरी यूजर फ्रेंडली. दैट इज व्हाट आई कैन टेल यू. So thanks again, all the participants and Akhilesh, our heartfelt gratitude from FICSI, that you really took your time out and you were able to spend so much of time with us. We know that you are really busy with managing FoSCoS and everything. So we'll be connecting and doing such more sessions. I hope, the experience was good for you as well, Akhilesh. So I can tell you that more than around 300 people is what, who are seeing the session live on the Teams and through our YouTube channel. So that is a good number, and we will be sharing the recorded session of today's webinar on our YouTube channel as well. So make sure that you do pass it around to all your colleagues, and this is something which is very informative for everyone who is working in the food industry or who wants to join the food industry. Thanks so much, Akhilesh. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for organizing a session. And this is a very encouraging number if 300 plus people have joined this session. Hope to see you soon and for such sessions in future. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Definitely. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Please leave your email IDs in the chat box. Thank you.